Podcast.
It's Big Podcast Playbook, the marketing podcast for podcasters. If you want to grow your podcast audience, get more people to spend money with you, get more people to listen, get more people talking about you. That's what this podcast is about. My name is David Hooper, bigpodcast.com. That's the website. You can go there to find out more about me and also to subscribe and also find out the other 7 things on this list of 8 things to find your voice. That's very important as a podcaster. There are a bajillion podcasts, blogs, creators. I don't like that word. You consider yourself a creator? It doesn't seem like a good example for what we do. Do we create? Yeah, sure we do. But me, personally, on this podcast anyway, the stuff that I do with Big Podcast, I spread messages via audio. And this podcast is designed to help you do that. That's not me being a creator. That is me being a marketer. Now, do I do other things? Yeah. Can I engineer? Yeah. Can I be a host? Yeah, I can do that. But the main job that I have is to help you spread your message via audio. So let's talk about it. How do you find your voice as a podcaster? These are from Josh Spector. I say these because there's 7 others. We're going to focus on one. And what he says here, number 7, is that you should pay attention to others. He's looking at this as a writer. He says, in order to write something different, you must first know the status quo. That's not true. He talks about ignoring rules. And I did say this, that if you want to ignore rules, by definition, to ignore them, you got to know what they are. To break rules, you got to know what they are. In order to do that, yeah, you need to know the status quo. But he's saying to write something different. If you just want to write, do whatever, there's no need for you to pay attention to others. He says this, consume what others create, study their voices, be inspired by them. To develop a voice that speaks to the world, you must first listen to what the world has to say for itself. Maybe you got to know what the world wants if you're going to speak to the world. It's a 2-sided thing. Not everybody needs to speak. Some people want to listen. So what is the world listening to? That will be the first step. Then find out who's speaking to those people. Pay attention to others. And maybe he is right on that. But to write something different, you must first know the status quo. No, not really. You're going to write what you write. It ends up being different or ends up being the same. It is important for you to pay attention to others because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. In the example I'll give you, nothing to do with content, but maybe how you record your podcast. I'm speaking into a mic. I'm speaking into this mic a certain way. I've got some photos that I've taken. 2 separate occasions. It was a sports channel in the gym, maybe ESPN. One guy's using an RE20, one guy's using an SM7B. If you're a podcaster, you probably know those mics. The 2 most popular mics in broadcast radio. Iconic. And these guys have the mics probably 2 or 3 feet away from them. That's not how you use those mics. I've got an RE20 that I'm speaking into 2 to 3 inches away from me. From my mouth, specifically. These guys, they had him at waist level. That's not going to work. So, yeah, study others, but at the same time, be aware that not everybody knows what they're doing. Just because somebody's doing it and having success with it doesn't mean that you will have success with it. Are there best practices? Sure there are. But it gets to a certain point where whatever the rules are, if we say the equation, if you will, for creating a great podcast, that equation falls apart depending on how much money somebody's spending, depending on if that person has access to broadcast media, that person's already famous. I was joking around with my wife earlier. She's talking about making jewelry, maybe selling on Etsy or something like that. And I said, oh, well, that's how Blankety Blank started, a well-known jeweler. And she said, no. Of course, I was joking. This person started because she was on reality television. She had broadcast media. She was doing traditional media. It's a different game for some people than you or me. So don't think that just because somebody does it, well, Rogan does this, Mark Maron does this, don't copy it. Should you pay attention to them? Yeah. Because sometimes people are listening to these guys because of what they're saying. find out what they're saying, learn from that. Sometimes they're listening because everybody else is listening. They just want to be part of the conversation. I've done that. I want to go see the Barbie movie. Everybody's talking about the Barbie movie. I want to see it. I do that a lot. If there's a big media event, because I work in media, I'm going to check it out. I want to be part of the conversation. I don't necessarily care about seeing the media, listening to the media, reading the media. That doesn't matter to me, but I want to be part of the conversation. Atlas Shrugged is an example of that. Way too big, needs an editor. It's not well written. It's not a very good story. I want to be part of the conversation around it, though. So I'm going to sit through it. I don't know that it was worth it. I'm going to wrap this up by repeating what Josh says here. Number 7, pay attention to others. To develop a voice that speaks to the world, you must first listen to what the world has to say for itself. No, you need to pay attention to what the world is listening to and then speak to that. Go down to the world's level and then bring them up to yours. If you want the rest of these, he's got 7 others. You can find them by going to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Subscribe to this podcast. They will be downloaded to your podcast player. I've got 1 button for iPhone, 1 for Android, 1 is an RSS feed. However you get your podcast, I make it easy for you. 1 click is all it takes. Bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Go there now before you forget. The 8th thing on Josh's list, that's next, coming up on the next episode of Big Podcast Playbook.